You ever find out something so insane about your own family that your brain just refuses to believe it? That was me, standing in my childhood kitchen, holding a stack of old legal papers, realizing my mom had been lying to me for almost 10 years. And the worst part, she did it with a smile. I always thought our family was normal dysfunctional. You know, the kind that argues over dinner but still hugs it out at Christmas. Turns out, my mom was hiding something much darker, something my dad tried to protect me from before he died. I grew up in upstate New York, in this creaky old colonial house that smelled like sawdust and lemon cleaner. My dad, Frank, was a contractor. My mom, Denise, stayed home and managed things, which really meant controlling everyone's emotions like a general in a silent war. Dad was the calm one, the fixer, the guy who'd take me fishing at 5 a.m. and say, "Don't ever let money make you cruel, kiddo." At the time, I didn't get it. I thought he was just giving me one of those dad wisdom quotes. But after what happened, I realized that was his warning shot. When I was 19, Dad got sick, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It hit fast. Within 6 months, he was gone. Mom cried, sure, but it was weird. She didn't fall apart like I did. She just organized the funeral, the estate, the bank accounts. She had this eerie calm, like she'd been waiting for this moment. After the funeral, Dad's lawyer said something that stuck with me. "Your father updated his will last year. Everything was supposed to go to you once you turned 25. I didn't question it at the time. I was grieving. Mom said, "Sweetie, your dad didn't have much left. The hospital bills wiped us out." And I believed her. Why wouldn't I? For years, I worked my butt off, college, part-time jobs, paying rent, while Mom lived comfortably in the same big house. I assumed she was just scraping by on Social Security or savings. Then, one day, years later, I found the truth by accident. I was 27 when I went home for Thanksgiving. Mom was out getting groceries, and I was helping clean out the attic. That's when I found it, a dusty old metal box labeled estate. Inside were bank statements, letters, and my dad's original will. The will that said everything, the house, the savings, the life insurance, was to go to me. Not Mom, me. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might throw up. Dad had even handwritten a note on the last page. "Denise is not to access or use these funds under any circumstances. This is for our son's future." I remember whispering out loud, "Oh my God, Mom." That's when the garage door opened. I didn't even hide it. I just walked downstairs holding the papers like a weapon. "Me, Mom, what the hell is this?" Her smile froze. "Where did you find that?" "Me, in the attic." "The will. You told me there was nothing left." Her face changed, like a mask slipping. "You weren't ready for that money, honey. You stole it." I yelled. "Dad left it for me." She crossed her arms. "You think raising you was free? You think I didn't earn some of it?" The rage that came out of me in that moment scared even me. I slammed the box on the counter. "Dad trusted you. And you lied to me for years." She said quietly, almost coldly, "You have no idea what your father did. He put you above everyone, even me. I just evened things out." That's when everything fell apart. I left that night, drove 4 hours back to my apartment with my knuckles white on the steering wheel. Every word of hers kept echoing, "I just evened things out." The next day, I took the will to my dad's old lawyer, Mr. Thompson. He was in his 70s now, retired, but when he saw the papers, his eyes went wide. "Good Lord," he said. "Your father's estate was worth over $400,000 at the time. Your mother claimed it was liquidated for debt. That was a lie. She had forged new documents after he died, closed the original accounts, moved everything into her name. Legally, it was fraud. Emotionally, it was betrayal at the deepest level. I wish I could say I handled it calmly. I didn't. I wanted revenge. Pure, scorched earth revenge. Mr. Thompson connected me with another lawyer who specialized in probate fraud. We built a case quietly. Bank records, witness statements, even the old accountant who confirmed that the accounts were still active after Dad's death. It took months, but finally, I filed suit against my own mother. When she was served, she called me sobbing. "How could you do this to me?" I said, "You did this to yourself." And I hung up. That was the hardest phone call of my life. News spread fast. My aunt called me screaming. My cousins took sides. Half the family thought I was money hungry. The other half whispered, "We always knew Denise was sneaky." Mom started showing up at my apartment, leaving voicemails. "You're ruining your father's memory. You're all I have left. If you keep this up, I'll lose everything." But that was the point. She had taken everything. The court battle dragged for almost 2 years. She lied under oath, claimed Dad verbally gave her permission to use the funds. But the handwritten note, Dad's signature and all, destroyed her credibility. I'll never forget the day the judge read the verdict. The court finds in favor of the plaintiff. I won. She was ordered to repay $389,000 plus interest. And the house was legally transferred to me. Mom sat there, silent. No tears this time. Just this hollow look, like the mask was finally gone. When it was over, she walked past me and whispered, "You'll regret this." But I didn't. Not for a second. I didn't kick her out right away. I let her stay in the house for 6 months rent-free. But she left on her own, moving in with a distant cousin out of state. We haven't spoken since. I renovated the house, painted it, fixed the roof, replaced the carpet. Sometimes I'd find little traces of her, a coffee mug, a perfume bottle, a photo of us when I was a kid. It hurt, but it also reminded me that I survived her. Last Christmas, I got a letter. No return address, just my name. Inside was a photo, my mom, standing next to some man, smiling, holding a newborn. The note said, "Meet your half-brother. Maybe you'll do better with him than you did with me." I just stared at it, numb. She'd moved on, started a new life. Maybe that's what she wanted all along. I didn't respond. I burned the letter. People think betrayal comes from enemies. It doesn't. It comes from the people who kiss you goodnight and say they love you. I spent years angry, obsessed with revenge, justice, closure. But now, I realize what Dad meant when he said, "Don't let money make you cruel." Mom let greed rot her soul. I almost let it rot mine. Now, I rent the house out to families who need a start. Single parents, veterans, people trying to rebuild. I figured if something good could come from all this pain, maybe Dad would be proud. And sometimes, when I walk through the hallway and see the sunlight hit the old wood floors, I swear I can still hear his voice. "You did good, kiddo." It's strange what memories decide to stay. I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I can still see the way Dad looked that night, pale from chemo, sitting on the porch wrapped in his old flannel jacket. He called me over. "Come sit, bud." The summer air smelled like rain and fresh-cut grass. I remember his hand trembling as he held his mug. He said, "I'm proud of you. I know I won't see you finish college, but I trust you'll do good things." I laughed nervously. "Don't talk like that, Dad." He smiled. "Promise me one thing. Don't let your mom guilt you into anything. She's complicated." At the time, I didn't get it. "What do you mean?" He just looked out toward the trees and said, "Some people love control more than they love people." That line didn't make sense until years later, when I finally understood what he was protecting me from. The day we buried him, it rained like the sky couldn't handle the loss either. Mom wore all black, but she didn't shed a single tear. Not one. When people offered condolences, she said, "He's in a better place," like she was checking off a box. After everyone left, I found her in the kitchen, already organizing bills and paperwork. I asked, "Can't this wait a day?" She sighed. "Death doesn't wait for anyone, sweetheart." At the time, I thought she was just coping. Now I know she was moving pieces, quietly taking control of everything before I even knew what was happening. A few months after the funeral, I remember getting a letter from a bank addressed to the estate of Frank Mitchell. Mom grabbed it from my hand so fast it made me flinch. She said, "You don't need to worry about that. It's just leftover paperwork." But she didn't throw it away. She slipped it into her purse like it was a secret. Looking back, that was probably the day she started transferring everything. I was too broken to care. I trusted her completely. That blind trust was her greatest weapon. When I found that metal box years later, the attic air was thick and stale. I sneezed as dust danced in the sunlight. The box was wedged behind an old trunk, like she tried to hide it on purpose. The lock was rusty. I used a screwdriver to pop it open. Inside were folders labeled insurance, savings, and will. I remember whispering, "What the hell?" as I flipped through the papers. Dad's signature was everywhere. Mom's too, on forged transfer forms dated 2 months after his death. And then I found the handwritten note. "For my son, Denise is not to access these funds. If anything happens to me, this will ensure his education and future." My throat went dry. It felt like Dad had reached out from the grave, handing me the truth. Then I heard the garage door open downstairs. I came down the stairs with the papers clutched in my hand. Mom was unloading groceries, humming to herself. "Hey, Mom," I said, my voice shaking. She turned, smiling. "Hey, kiddo." Grabbed the milk. I slammed the papers on the counter. "What's this?" Her eyes darted to the will, then back to me. "Where did you get that?" "In the attic. You told me everything was gone." She exhaled sharply. "Oh, for God's sake. You weren't supposed to see that." "Why not? You stole it." "Dad left this for me." "I didn't steal anything. she snapped. I used it. For us. For us. I shouted. You bought a new car. You remodeled the kitchen. You went to Florida for a month. She stared at me, unblinking. You don't understand what it's like to be alone. You had your whole life ahead of you. I had nothing. I remember my hands trembling so bad. I had to grip the counter to stay steady. Dad trusted you, I said quietly. She shrugged. He trusted the wrong person. And that was it. The moment I stopped seeing her as my mom, and started seeing her as a stranger. That night, I sat in my car outside her house for an hour, crying like a kid. The betrayal hit me like a physical punch. It wasn't just the money, it was the lies, the manipulation, the way she'd looked me in the eye for years and smiled like nothing was wrong. I called my friend Jenna. She was like a sister to me. I could barely speak through the sobs. She took it all, Jen. Everything Dad left for me. Jenna said softly, then take it back. I spent weeks quietly gathering proof. Old bank statements, copies of checks, even a storage receipt in Mom's name from around the same time she claimed to be broke. I remember walking into the old law office, the bell above the door jingling like a scene from a movie. Mr. Thompson, my dad's lawyer, was sitting behind a pile of dusty folders. When I showed him the will, his face went pale. He said, "Your father was very specific. This isn't just a mistake. This is fraud." That word, fraud, echoed in my head all night. The first day of court felt like walking into a movie I didn't audition for. Mom sat across from me in her best black blazer, pretending to be fragile. When she took the stand, she actually cried. "I only used the money for household needs," she said. "I loved my son. I just wanted to keep our home." Then Rachel stood up with the receipts, literally. Florida resort bookings, a $30,000 Mercedes purchase, spa treatments. The courtroom went silent. Rachel said, "Mrs. Mitchell, was this household maintenance?" Mom's face went cold. She didn't answer. That's when I knew we had her. When the judge ruled in my favor, I didn't feel joy. Not right away. It felt like stepping out of a storm into silence, disoriented, empty, exhausted. Mom wouldn't even look at me. She just whispered, "You'll regret this," and walked away. For weeks after, I couldn't sleep. Winning didn't erase the grief. It just shifted it. I went to therapy. My therapist told me, "You didn't destroy your family. She did. You just stopped letting her control you." That line saved me. The first time I stepped back into the house legally as the owner, it didn't feel like home. It felt haunted. Not by ghosts, by memories. I found one of Dad's old fishing poles in the garage. The reel was still greased. I sat on the floor and cried until I couldn't breathe. Then I got to work. New paint, new floors, fresh start. Every nail I hammered in felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. When I was sorting through the papers again, I noticed something I'd missed before, tiny writing on the back of one of the will's pages. It said, "If you're reading this, I guess I couldn't protect you from everything, but I hope I raised you strong enough to protect yourself." I had to sit down. That was the closure I didn't know I needed. Mom never reached out directly again after that strange, half-brother letter. But I heard through Aunt Carol that she'd remarried a retired mechanic named George. Apparently, they bought a small trailer home down south. Sometimes, I wonder if she tells him the truth, that she once stole her dead husband's inheritance from her son. Somehow, I doubt it. I don't hate her anymore. Hate keeps you chained to the person who hurt you. I just let her go. Now I'm 30, engaged, and running my own construction business. The same trade Dad taught me. And yeah, I still live in that house. It's different now. It's mine. It's peaceful. People always say, family is everything. But family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by trust. And once that trust is gone, all you can do is rebuild yourself from the pieces. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you love, let me tell you, healing doesn't come from revenge or winning court cases. It comes from choosing peace when anger feels easier. I forgave her, not because she deserved it, but because I deserved to move on. I used to think my dad left me money, but what he really left me was strength. And that's something my mom could never steal.